morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time you are tuned into this broadcast. This is Ishues, Coach Ish, whatever you want to call me. Let's talk some boxing. Let me take a break for a minute. I gotta get something on my chest. I'm in the studio working, so listen, man. I don't know why the PBC would start off the year with this garbage ass people trying to. Everybody I haven't heard everybody speak on this, but too many people are being. I don't know. I guess I'm different. I don't know. Whatever, right? I'm gonna give my honest opinion. I think that card is trash to start the year off with. Given the year we had last year, I think starting the year off now, if it's just a PBC card that's free, cool. It's a very interesting card. And of course, I'm talking about Keith Thurman versus Tim Tszyu, right? I was going to break this down in individual videos, but it's not really much to say about these two fights individually. So I might as well just lump it into one video and just talk about the card in general, right? Landy Lara was on that card, which at one point I was a big Landy Lara fan. I still like him and appreciate him as a boxer, as a fighter, but his time has passed. Come on now. So, headline in the card, we have Tim Tszyu versus Keith Thurman. Now, what are we talking about here? We're talking about pay-per-view now. This is a pay-per-view card. You're expecting me to pay for this. I don't think I could do it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think I could do it. I mean, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it. You know what I'm saying? Pay some exorbitant price, you know what I'm saying, to watch what? Something that I don't want. I don't care nothing about Keith Thurman versus Tim Tszyu. You know what I'm saying? Keith Thurman, somebody made a video a long time ago about Keith Thurman being a gatekeeper. And that's pretty much what he's relegated to. He's not really relevant anymore. You know what I'm saying? His last outing was against Mario Barrios. That was like 2 years ago. Before he fought Mario Barrios, he got his clock cleaned by Manny Pacquiao. Another, 2-3 years prior to that. So he's only fought Mario Barrios in the last 5 years. At 147, 146 or whatever it was. Some weird weight, I think it was. I don't even think it was officially 147. I think it was like 146 or, a little bit over 140, not quite 147. Right? Mario Barrios is okay. He's a good fighter. Is he a pay-per-view fighter? No. Is he a pay-per-view caliber fighter? No. He's not at all. So Keith Thurman beat Mario Barrios, and he kind of muddled his way through that. You know what I'm saying? What my man Calvin Candy said, you kind of muddled the line winning and losing on that last fight. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, supposed to have been a tune-up fight, but then he ain't fought again for another 2 years. So really, you need another tune-up fight if you're trying to fight to be relevant. Now, if you're just trying to fight for a paycheck, why should I mean, for your benefit, cool. But Keith Thurman hasn't done anything significant in over 5 years. That Mario Barrios fight, I don't consider that significant. This fight is not for a title. Now, we talking about if it was just a regular card, my energy would be different. But this is a pay-per-view card. You expected me to pay upwards of $80 or $60, $70, whatever it is, dollars for Keith Thurman versus Tim Tszyu. No one cares. No one cares. That fight means nothing. It means nothing, number one. The fight means nothing, number one. It may mean something for Keith Thurman. Definitely doesn't mean anything for Tim Tszyu besides a paycheck. Tim Tszyu Tim Tszyu's a fighter. Comes from a fighting pedigree. His pops was a great fighter. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about Costa Tszyu, for those who don't know. So carrying the family legacy. He's huge in Australia. You know what I mean? So that means something. But Tim Tszyu is looking for, even if he beats Keith Thurman, which I'm not going to give my prediction right now. I'll give my prediction closer to the fight, like I always do. You know what I'm saying? Even if he beats Keith Thurman, you beat Keith Thurman. You know, and Keith Thurman is coming up in weight. Keith Thurman ain't never fought professionally at 154. Whatever weight they fighting at. I think it's 154, but Keith Thurman ain't never fought at that weight. You know what I'm saying? If I had to lean a certain way right now, I'm going to tell you it's Tim Tszyu. And that's simply off the fact that, I mean, I'm going to give my actual prediction later once I watch everything and all of the press conference and everything, whatever the case may be. But, I mean, I don't foresee anything that I'm going to see that's going to change what I think right now. I could be wrong. You know what I mean? I've been wrong before. But after watching what Tim Tszyu did to Tony Harrison and Keith Thurman are very similar fighters. And I would argue Tony Harrison is better than Keith Thurman. That's what I would argue. Skill for skill, I think Tony Harrison is better. I think they're similar in the sense that they are somewhat crafty boxers. I think Keith Thurman has more of a reputation of setting up and landing big shots. That's why they call him one time. But that ceased once he started going up in competition. Once he started going up in competition, he stopped knocking people out. So, although Keith Thurman has more of a reputation for being more of a power puncher, you know, they're kind of the same. I think, I'm going to just put it like this. Not necessarily that they're kind of the same. There's very distinct differences between the two. I don't want to get into it because I don't want to make this a long video. I need to get back to the studio work. I'll say this. Tim Tszyu can beat Keith Thurman the same way he beat Tony Harrison. The same game plan will beat Keith Thurman. The same game plan that he employed against Tony Harrison would beat Keith Thurman. You know what I'm saying? Especially a severely inactive Keith Thurman. So, is that a fight I want to pay for? No. That's the headline. The co-main event. Okay, I'm probably going to piss some people off. That's cool, whatever. Rolando Romero is getting opportunities because he's Floyd's fighter. I don't see anything good about him as a fighter at all. I've seen 2 fights where he lost and they gave him the win. The fight before the Tank fight and the old dude he fought. He shouldn't have won either one. He shouldn't have got a victory in either one of those fights. In the first one, I can't remember the dude's name either, but he fought him before Tank. Man, I felt so bad for that boy. He beat him pillar to post. Outboxed him, outclassed him. Rolly didn't do anything of substance in that fight. And they gave him the win. Why? Because he's Floyd's fighter, and they were setting up the, Tank Davis fight. He's talked his way into big fights. And in none of those fights have he performed. The Tank fight, I mean, I guess this makes it an interesting fight because they both came up short against Tank. I get that logic, right? But stylistically, this is not a good fight. This is not a good fight stylistically. It's not. It's going to be awkward. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be, And I don't think it's going to end in a knockout. Unless Pitbull knocks out Rolly. I don't think Rolly can knock out Pitbull. Not necessarily he doesn't have the power. He doesn't have the skill. Rolly is not a skilled fighter at all. I watch him train. I watch him fight. My personal opinion, he can't do either. I don't know what the appeal of Rolly is, but do I want to pay to see him fight? Hell no. And I'm not interested in him and Pitbull. Because let me tell you something about Pitbull. I don't think he's as good as everybody say he is. You call me hating, whatever. He gets all of this praise heaped on him. And all of this, see, boxing is about reputation a lot. Narratives. Right? He did better than expected. Let's call it what it is. He did better than expected against Tank as a short notice replacement. Most short notice replacements give the other fighter problems because you didn't prepare for him. I can't remember who Pitbull replaced, but I can guarantee you that he replaced someone taller than him. So even preparing, you spent all camp preparing for a tall fighter, and then the tall fighter drops out, and then 2 weeks you got to fight a small fighter. That's, you know, a lot of casual fans or whatever may not understand what that means or how much of an adjustment that is. No matter how talented you are as a boxer, it's going to cause some sort of problem. And usually short notice fighters, especially short notice fighters, they have some sort of talent about them. They're going to give whoever the other fighter is a problem. Some sort of a problem. Because they didn't game plan for him. They had to switch the game plan last minute for another fighter. So with that being the case, he gave Tank a more difficult problem than we're used to seeing. Because we're used to seeing Tank knocking people out. He didn't knock out Pitbull. But he did outbox him, though. He did outbox him the entire fight. So Pitbull didn't stun Tank, rock Tank. He caught Tank with some stuff. Most people do. Tank is not the most defensive. But at the end of the day, he just gave Tank more problems than we're accustomed to seeing. That's it. His next fight, I can't remember the dude he fought. He looked terrible. He looked terrible. Didn't look good at all. I watched him fight. He got heart. Little guy got heart. He got skills. Is he a pay-per-view fighter? Hell no. Hell no, he's not a pay-per-view fighter. This is the co-main event. Rolly, who, why would you want to pay money? This is in Rolly's case. Let's just talk about what we talk about. This is what I've seen. I don't know what type of boxing fan you are, but let me just ask you this question. If you saw a fighter win a decision that was a clear robbery, fight his first big name opponent and get put to sleep in embarrassing fashion, it's one thing to get knocked out. It's another thing to get knocked out the way Rolly got knocked out. It's one thing to get knocked out. Manny Pacquiao got knocked out, you know, besides the fact that he became a meme, he was laying on his face. You know what I'm saying? He was whooping Marquez's ass before that. Some people could argue Rolly was doing good against Tank. Maybe good or better than expected, but obviously Tank was setting up something. Sometimes when you're trying to set traps, you got to go through a little difficulty. And the fans who don't understand what they're looking at, they'll look at it and say, oh, he's losing. I remember Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence. I was on my way to my homeboy's crib with Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence fight. And I think it was like the third round. He called me and was like, yo, Terrence Crawford is losing. I said, is he hurt? He said, no. I said, well, he's not losing. He's figuring something out. And was it the Terrence Crawford? No, it wasn't, because I watched that at my crib. It was Terrence Crawford. Who did he fight before Errol Spence? Whoever he fought before Errol Spence. I can't remember right now. You know what I'm saying? Sean Porter. That's who it was. Sean Porter. It was a Sean Porter fight. I'm like, yo, he's losing. I said, Is he hurt? No. Then he's not losing. He's setting something up. And what happened? Stop Sean Porter in the 10th round. What did he say in the interview? I had it figured out since the first round. You might know what you want to do, but it might take you a few rounds to get there. So in the meantime, especially since part of the strategy of setting people up, right, for people who don't understand boxing, is giving them confidence. So sometimes making them feel like they are winning is a strategy. Making them feel like they getting their thing off sometimes is a strategy. And in Tank Davis and Rolly Romero's specific situation, that's exactly what happened. How did he knock him out? Because he was being overly aggressive. He made the mistake of being overly aggressive. Tank hit him with a textbook, bada bing, and he fell asleep on the ropes. And he did that after talking shit to Rolly's corner. He was in the he said something to him, shut the fuck up, or something like that. Then he knocked Rolly out. Bang. So I seen that right after I saw him beat a kid that beat him. So bad that I felt bad for the kid. He was crying and I felt horrible for that kid. Same way I felt when Colbert got that win over Reyes. I felt terrible for Reyes. And I felt so good when he came back and vindicated by knocking his ass out. That's what the young boy need against Rolly. They need to run that back. He need an opportunity to knock Rolly ass out. Because Rolly lost that fight. Clearly. I was disgusted. Like, how, like, the only justification that anyone could give me is that's Mayweather's fighter. So, I seen him win a fight he was supposed to lose. I seen him get knocked out in embarrassing fashion. Then I seen him win another fight he was supposed to lose. Then I seen him get knocked out in sparring. Then I just watched another video the other day with Teofimo's beating the shit out of him in sparring. Not like, oh, he just having a bad sparring day. No, he's beating the shit out of you. You turning your back, you ducking your head, you doing all of the things that novice fighters do. He's a hyped up novice fighter. That's who Rolly is. I'm sorry, I'm just, come on, man. And I'm tired of people there's people saying it. But, you know, these boxing pundits and, you know, oh, Rolly's a good. No, he's not. Where? How? When? Against who? Who was his last impressive performance against? I bet you're going to name somebody nobody knows. Because his last 3 performances were trash. 2 of them he got wins in, which were robberies. And the other one in between, he got knocked out in embarrassing fashion. I can't stress that enough. And then turn around and get knocked out in sparring the exact same way. I don't know if it happened before the Tank fight or after the Tank fight, but there was footage of him getting knocked out in sparring the exact same way. That makes you trash in my book. You didn't even learn from getting knocked out the first time? You knocked me out one way, you ain't gonna knock me out that way again. Nobody's going, you know what I'm saying? I'm not too high on Deontay Wilder right now. But Tyson Fury knocked him down by putting him on his back foot. Robert Helenius tried the same shit. He adjusted for it and knocked Robert Helenius' ass out. That's the least you can do. The best adjustments you can make is adjustments off of losses. I watched him get knocked out the same way in sparring after that. This the dude you want me to pay money to watch fight? Against Pitbull Cruz, who his only claim to fame is that on short notice he gave Gervonta Davis, well, I don't know his Muslim name now, you know, formerly Gervonta Davis, prop Tank, just call him Tank. Tank, problems that we didn't expect him to have. Come on, man, cut it out. The main event is trash. Co-main event is trash. As a pay-per-view fight. If it's a regular fight, no pay-per-view, network television, this is what you want to start the year off, cool. It's interesting at best. I heard people talking about, oh, that's a good fight. How? Neither one of them are good. Tank and Pitbull, that's a good fight. Really? Okay. You say so. I mean, I guess they're all good fights on every level. You know, I get two of my students in there. They're pretty green and novice. Two of them match up. Becomes a good fight. But if you take those same two and say this is a professional fight that I got to pay money for, no, it's not. That same fight that was good in the gym that we didn't have to pay money for because they're two novices, you want me to now pay top dollar for and call this a professional fight? Get the fuck out of here. So, this first PBC card of the year is trash. I'm hoping two things happen. One of two things happen. Either one, they tank so bad that they say, we're not doing that shit no more. It's great fights from here on out. We can't afford to take that kind of loss. Right? Or that and the public chew their ass up. Nah, man, we not. Or they show by not paying for it. Nah, we not. Come on, man. Because I'm sorry. I ain't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? You know, I pay for pay-per-view fights. Don't get me wrong, but I pay for that one. Never. Now, if it was Tim Tszyu versus Terrence Crawford, hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'll pay for that. But Tim Tszyu versus Keith Thurman? Nah, I'm good. So, that's all I got. Like, comment, subscribe, share. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about it. And I'm about to get back to work. Peace and love.